Hello and welcome to another edition of the Northliner Foundation podcast. I'm your host, Sean Lynch, founder and executive director of the Northliner Foundation. The Northliner Foundation is dedicated to the preservation and legacy of Herman the Duck, the beloved mascot of North Central Airlines and Republic Airlines. Republic Airlines was formed in 1979 by a merger between North Central Airlines and Southern Airways. In 1980, Hughes Air West joined Republic Airlines. Then in 1986, Northwest Airlines acquired Republic, and finally in 2008, Delta Airlines purchased Northwest. There still are many wonderful people from North Central, Southern, Hughes Air West, Republic, and Northwest working at Delta today. So in our last episode of the Northliner Foundation podcast, we were talking about the experience of going out and flying with a flight instructor, or taking a discovery flight, or doing an Eagle flight, to get an opportunity to see what flying and private aviation is all about, especially for those of you that are interested in becoming pilots. So in this episode, I'd like to just expand on what you can experience or hope to experience in your first flight. This should be a fun experience, it should be an exciting experience, and there shouldn't be any stress involved. A lot of people think that small airplanes are not as sturdy, or that they're rickety, or not as safe as the large airliners that we see flying overhead. But general aviation airplanes, the small light private airplanes, are just as safe as the aircraft that we see flying with the commercial airlines. All airplanes undergo rigorous maintenance inspections, and the maintenance of airplanes is taken very seriously. A very common feeling is one of, I'm afraid of heights. I could never fly in a small plane because I'm afraid of heights. To be honest, as a pilot myself, I have a slight fear of heights, but the condition in the cockpit is that of an elevator, and not necessarily in a claustrophobic kind of sense either, because you have the windows, so it feels very much like being in the compartment of a car. The flight instructor or pilot that takes you up will give you an introduction, an overview of what the equipment in the cockpit is, and the necessary and important things for you to know about. And a good pilot or flight instructor is going to be respectful and try to keep the experience exciting and fun for you. When you schedule your flight, you definitely want to make sure that it's looking like good weather. And often the best time to go is in the morning, because the winds will be calm and it'll be cooler conditions. And obviously you don't want to go necessarily on a rainy day, because part of the enjoyment of flying is the view and seeing outside of the airplane and experiencing the world from a brand new perspective. Since this is your first flight, there wouldn't necessarily be anything that you would have to bring. Check with the pilot, the flight school, just to be sure. Once the pilot starts the airplane up and you start moving, you'll notice the controls are a little bit different from that of a car. Most notably, that movement on the ground is controlled with your feet using pedals, and the power of the airplane is used with a throttle control, a lever that slides in and out to increase or decrease power. Whether you're flying out of a big airport or a small airport, you're likely to hear chatter on the radio, and don't feel intimidated by the language of aviation. It's something that we all learn as we become pilots, and through experience and practice, it does become a second language. As you take flight, you should expect that the flight will last for no more than an hour, and you'll just go out and do some basic maneuvers, some turns and some climbs and descents, and do a little bit of sightseeing. Once the overall portion of your flight is concluded, you'll return to the vicinity of the airport and prepare for landing. At this point, the pilot will be slowing down the airplane and getting it ready to land, and the pilot will do some gentle turns to get lined up with the runway. Once you're lined up, this is called final approach. You'll be coming down, 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 passing over the large runway numbers, and then touching down on the runway and concluding your flight. I hope your first flight is truly a great experience, and we're over the numbers. For the Northliner Foundation, I'm Sean Lynch. So long.